Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Reiki. So, before we begin our journey today, I'm going to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Tracy Searight, and I am one half of your guide on this journey today. And our other guide is the fabulous and wonderful.
Millie Pampina, thank you. And I am your co-guide here at ReadySetReiki.com. And thank you, Tracy, for the wonderful introduction. If you could see me, you'd see me smiling from ear to ear. And today we're going to be changing our order a little bit. So Tracy's going to be Tracy's going to be interviewing Joanne Hollstein for us. And I'm going to turn it back to Tracy now. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Millie. So, friends, today we have a very special guest. Her name is Joanne Hollstein. I met Joanne a few years ago when I came in for a job, and there she was, a bright, shining light. So, Joanne has been interested in Reiki ever since her early 20s, and she has elevated all the way up to a level 3 Reiki Master Practitioner. In addition to her abilities in Reiki, she also has a master's degree in early education, where she taught special education in North Carolina. And then when she came back up to Pennsylvania, she was in the education system, and now she currently works in retail. And another fun fact about Joanne is she is a fantastic artist. Her artwork includes acrylics, paints, pens, and pencils. And you can reach Joanne through Facebook or the number that we'll give you at the end of our show. So, Joanne, welcome so much to Ready Set Reiki. We're so glad you are here.
Oh, thank you so much, Tracy and Millie. It's wonderful being on your podcast, and thank you so much.
So, we got some questions to start our journey. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yes, I was a teacher and a paraprofessional, and I'm in retail right now. And I really love my art so much. I find so much inspiration. I live next to a farm with big black Angus cows, and it's so beautiful over there. And we have the hawks and the groundhogs, and it just gives me so much wonderful gratitude. Able to meditate, and I like to, paint the birds and the hawks and the cows, and I just love everything. Pencil and pen and acrylics, watercolors, whatever I could do to make something really creative and inspiring.
It's wonderful. Sounds beautiful. So, tell us, when did Reiki come into your life?
I was in my 20s. I had kind of my parents, I guess they didn't really agree with a lot of what they said to each other, and it was kind of unrestful. And I was looking for some kind of peace in my life, and I said, someday when I get older, I'm going to change the whole way that I have lived when I was growing up. So I got married, and of course, it was a little topsy turvy when I first got married. I was like 22. So then I found this wellness center, and I said Reiki, and I said, wow, what is Reiki? Back then I had no clue. And so I went there, and took Reiki 1, and then 6 months later I took Reiki 2. And I really enjoyed it. And so that's kind of a little bit how I found it.
Great. And then you also got your master practitioner lately. So you had it when you come to join me. So that's how we connected again when you became a student to get your level 3. So
Yeah.
see, growing and evolving. So our next question is, in regarding Reiki, do you agree with the common perceptions about your work within Reiki? Whether you kind of infuse it or imbue it into your artwork or when you're working in retail?
I do. I thought at first when I was thinking about this, like the heat sensation of Reiki, like on your hands. But yeah, I like to do it with my art also. I think anything with Reiki, it just makes it more spiritual, more peaceful, more loving, and it just brings in just a whole different new perception for everything for me, adding Reiki in.
All right, lovely. So now, what do you think is the common misperception about your work?
Um, well, when people say, what's Reiki? And I said, you have to be, religious. And I said, no, I said, there's really no religious background. You don't have, there's no one belief or one faith. It's not like that at all. So that's one for me, my
So you're
misconception about.
feeling as you're going out into the world and being of
Mhm.
service that you're
Yeah.
kind of encountering people who have that misperception that it has some type of dogma attached to it.
Yes, that's what I get questions like that all the time.
So when that happens to you, what do you answer back?
Well, I tell them, I said, well, I'm Catholic, I'm still Catholic. And I said, that has nothing to do with what I do with Reiki. And I said, that's a whole separate thing. And Reiki just makes you feel better. It makes you feel more peaceful. Um, it just, I'm just so glad that I do it every day now. So it
Perfect.
makes a big difference.
Love it. So, what would you wish your younger self to know about your current profession?
Um, I wish I would have been more committed when I was in my 20s. I thought it was like Reiki, like you do it once and that was it. And I didn't realize, I wish had the support system I have now, like you and Millie. And we have huge areas of people that around the world that actually know what Reiki is, and they love it. So now I feel more at home because I know it does work, and it's part of my day. Before I get up, I do my Reiki, self-healing Reiki, and it just sets my whole intention, my whole day, just to have a beautiful, beautiful one. And then people see you differently whenever you feel really good about yourself. People treat you differently, and just makes for a much happier day.
Hey, so this is a little different from our questions, but I was going to ask for Reiki 1 versus Reiki 3. So you learned with a lady a few years ago
Mhm.
versus learning with me. So what would you say would be the one key piece of advice that you would tell other practitioners, other people who are beginning their Reiki journey? What do you think would be one key advice to give them from what you kind of just said in your little answer there?
I think just I think just practicing more.
Yeah.
I think just keep going with it each day, and see how you feel with it. Notice how you observe yourself when you didn't have Reiki in your life, and then bring the Reiki in and practice it every day and see how you feel then.
Okay, perfect. So, what is something everyone in your industry should stop or start doing?
Wow. I don't know. I was thinking about COVID with this question. I don't know why. And it reminded me of how people were in groups before. And and I know Millie is talking, she'll be talking about social media, but I was thinking about this question with social media and how you could do everything online, like teach online. You can have your Reiki sessions online, groups, one-on-one. Um, that's kind of what I had in mind with that question. Because everything's changed now with how and that thing came through. We were all isolated before, and I think just by having the social media, we all could at least support each other. And even now and 10 years from now, I think it'll be just as big as it is now.
So, do you think with in regards to Reiki that everyone should start doing more online or less online?
I think online is going to be, I think it's where it's really heading towards. Just like our podcast, which like years ago, I haven't even heard of a podcast before. And now it seems like, it's just another wonderful way to experience, um, what you have to offer, um, especially with Reiki too.
Oh, perfect. So, what has been the biggest challenge in this industry is facing today? So, you think in regards of Reiki, what is the biggest challenge?
I think just people's I think just getting past maybe the misconceptions, between that and um, just, like what is Reiki, and just having them understand that it comes through you. It doesn't, you're just a facilitator, and anybody can do it. And um, I just think it makes, a better life. Um,
Beautiful. So, when you go to see a Reiki practitioner,
mhm.
what are some of the qualities you look for in a Reiki practitioner?
I look for someone who is emotionally and physically sensitive to other people, someone who is sincerely interested in helping them, and I guess the person's level of Reiki training, um, and someone who's a lifelong learner of Reiki. So someone who, has that commitment and is ready to go forth, and there's always something new to learn and to grow from Reiki.
Perfect. So that's some good advice to give those who are out searching for that Reiki practitioner. Thank you. So, what advice would you give to someone who is just entering this profession of Reiki? So, what are your pearls of wisdom to pass on from your years of working with Reiki, receiving Reiki? So, what would you tell someone who is brand new to this and excited on this journey, or maybe even a little nervous about starting the journey? So, what
Right.
would you share with them?
Um, I would have the intention, just to have an open heart and open mind working with Reiki, and just to leave the ego out for sure, because I know that always seems to creep up with everything. But just
That ego
you don't need that for this.
has to have a
um,
seat.
yeah. And the more you work with Reiki, it gives you a much deeper sense of who you are. So you'll come to get to know yourself in a whole different way that maybe you haven't experienced that way before, years ago.
All right, some good advice. And so, with that, what books do you recommend?
I have a couple really good ones. I'm always searching for something new, and this one is called "Practical Reiki" by Richard Ellis. It focuses on the basics of Reiki, the chakra system, and they give very detailed pictures, giving a full Reiki treatment, a short Reiki treatment, and a self treatment. And because those are really important to know, if you're, for someone else, for yourself. And then the second book, which I just came across not long ago, is called The Art of Psychic Reiki: Developing Your Intuitive and Empathic Abilities for Energy Healing. And that's by Lisa Campione. And of course, she focuses on developing your psychic abilities. And she gives various types of meditations. And then she just infuses that with Reiki. And it just blends, just really, you come from an intuitive area to psychic ability, and blend all that with your Reiki. And so it just gives you just wonderful healing abilities.
Now, one of the other thing is that you do your art. So, what is your process with imbuing your artwork with Reiki?
I like to either listen, I have very specific music that I like to listen to, different spiritual music. Like sometimes I'll listen to YouTube, and then I find an artist, then I'll get that CD, and I like to put that on, and it just puts me into like a different kind of trance where I'm like outside of myself, and I could just let everything flow, especially on a blank canvas. You're trying to figure out, okay, what should I do here? And then it just kind of flows through. So I like to do something special like that, light a candle, just, make it for the highest good for my art, and, who this, someone would appreciate this somewhere.
So, you always add an intention to every piece you create?
I try to, unless I'm just doodling around with, just some new product. I like to try new products all the time, and I'll just say, okay, how does that work? And you can throw some of this, some of that on. But when I'm really working on like a piece, I like to use special music for it.
Now, a few years ago, Joanne had created this floral piece that she had painted for me and gave it to me. And people that know me know that I tend to have a lot of blue in my life. I have a blue car, everything's in the house is blue. And she's like, I know you like blue, but I really felt called that I was supposed to create pink for you. So everything was in the pink. So that's that intuitiveness coming into what she felt called into that moment with that picture. So it's probably the only pink thing I have in my house. So, we're trusting the process, right? Because that's what intuitively she was guided to. So, Joanne, where can someone find you if they want to do you do Reiki sessions? Do you do it online to find your artwork? Where can we find you, and let us know what services that you offer?
Okay. I do have a Facebook page, just my first name and my last name, Joanne Hollstein on Facebook. I've had that for a long time. Um, I also have an email address too, um, jholstein315 @gmail.com. And well, if anyone needs my phone number for texting or calls, 412-699-9932.
Okay, perfect. So you offer art. Do you offer in-person sessions for Reiki or online?
Sure, I could do in person or online sessions. I have all my vaccinations. I'm
and
not good
and
to
what
go.
area do you service? Plum, Pittsburgh, Murraysville,
I could do all of them. Plum, Murraysville, Pittsburgh.
and then you're available online to do sessions.
Yes,
Okay,
do the
perfect.
sessions. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Now it's our time in the show where I'm going to pass the baton to Millie
Thank you,
to
Tracy.
find out what viewers would like to know about Joanne. But thank you so much for answering our question.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you so much, Tracy and Joanne. I know the viewers can't see you because we're basically an interview verbal podcast today, but I just loved how your face lit up every time you talked about your artwork and how you brought your um, energy to it and the things that you looked for and I was just, wow, that is so good to see because that's what I always call that Reiki facial, where your face just glows. And with that in mind, we do have some questions that come in from the
Oh,
audience. And don't worry, they're easy. We screen everything. You did mention early in the interview about some, traumatic events in your life and wanting to move on from those and healing, and how you used a lot of the information and a lot of the practice that you have as an adult to continue to fuel your energy and fire and passion for your journey, not only with Reiki but with your artwork. And you've moved several times. You're back in the city, which is our good fortune. So what are, for all those concerned, past, current trauma, and when I talk trauma, I also mean emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual traumas, folks, just not, something you might have
oh,
experienced in one of those areas. But what are the advantages of Reiki healing that you really might be able to, look at one or two or all, draw from, and, work through to get the best results for your higher good or your greater self?
I have a couple that really speak to me. I had a lot of stress and before and Reiki just seems to just once I do like a self Reiki practice on myself, um, I just feel like, just nice and calm. Or if I'm at work and there's always a lot of stress going on, like somebody, like you get pulled into like 20 different directions. And it's like, okay, so if I need to just calm down for a minute, I just, imagine like a Reiki shower over top of me, all the way through me. And then I take a couple of deep breaths, and then it's like, ah, then I feel like a new person again. I feel like I can tackle the rest of the day. um, because sometimes, someone's like yelling at you at work and you're like, okay, so now we got to switch gears. And I don't want to bring that to the next person. So I always try to cut that negativity off like right away and just come back to myself, back to my center of my spirit, and, and just say, okay, I want to make sure I have a more loving approach for the next person. So that's been just such a huge benefit for me, to relax and calm me down when I need that. And my second thing is, that Reiki does for me is it manages anxiety and difficult emotions. I've had a lot of anger issues over the lifetime, and Reiki seems like it just like powers through the anger, and it just helps you just release that and makes you look at it, that situation, from like a whole other perspective. And I can't say too many other things, besides that. And it really, I really observed myself before I was doing a regular Reiki practice, and then I observed myself after. And it's like two totally different people. And I like the person I've become with Reiki. And I just highly recommend it to so many people, just you know, give it a try at least. I think you'll be really surprised at how you'll feel in a good
It's
way.
really some beautiful feedback and meaningful. Um, and I do love the idea of the word practice. Practice, 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 because you've mentioned during your interview with Tracy that you always feel that there's more to learn, that want to reach further, that have um, you have so much more you can do, and it sounds like you're on that great path to wanting to continue to work towards enlightenment, be fulfilled, and passing those blessings and graces on to others. So I'm just sitting here starting to sink into my chair and think about all that as well. So thanks for that motivation. And with thinking about that, do you practice any other type of healing methodologies or modalities for yourself and others, or do you have any in mind that you would like to explore moving forward?
I also am a yoga instructor. I have 200-hour a teaching certificate, and I haven't really taught in a studio yet, but I do practice on myself, and also very beneficial. I do a lot of breath work, meditation, and sometimes my mind gets so busy because I have so many little ideas, like just kind of going around in a hamster wheel, if you want to say. And it kind of helps me to slow myself down and say, okay, what's the first thing I can do right now to start on what I want to work on next? And that really just kind of like just just comes around and just says, okay, let's start over here. And then it just really um you know, yoga's been a very, very tremendously huge help to me. And when I took that, I had broken my wrist like 6 months earlier. So, but I was still able to do a lot of moves. But so I probably take it at a slower pace with yoga now, like more like yin or restorative. So I like to learn those practices at some time. But I have a certain, like, maybe 10 to 20 poses I do every day, and it really helps me to focus better.
We're going to have to invite you back to talk about all that too.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm working on those 200 hours, and I just find it to be an incredible journey, just in my readings and learning about that. So I really appreciate that you're working that hard on those things, Joanne, because I find that it just continues to wrap a nice ribbon or bow around the whole process. I find that it's so interactive. So, is there any particular success stories from your work that you would like to share with us on the podcast at this time?
Oh yes. This one particular lady comes to my mind. She had a lot of health problems, and I've always went over to her and I would ask her if she needed any help. And when she would come to the cash register, she would, have a really hard time walking. And at first, she was very like put off, and she didn't talk to me. She wouldn't answer any questions. I thought, okay, I'm not going to give up on this woman because I know there's somebody in there that I know she wants to come out and talk to people, but maybe she was a little bit shy, or maybe not trusting of people. So little by little, and it took about 6 months. I was very persistent with this woman. And finally, the other day, I saw her at the store and she gave me this biggest smile and she said hello to me. And then I checked her out at the cash register and we had this wonderful conversation. And I thought, yes, I felt like, you know, all this time I said, and then what I do is I send Reiki to the whole store, everything, all the products, and then all the people that come in, and especially, and I'll bless their bags and I'll bless them with Reiki, as they're going out the store. And it's a miracle working modality, Reiki. It's just amazing how it turned a situation from someone who really didn't want to deal with anybody in the store. And she's talks to everybody in the store now. And it just made my day. It really just made my day so special.
Well, congratulations. As we know, Reiki can be a cumulative therapy. Sometimes it takes a while,
Yeah.
but it looks like you hang in there, and the success is in the showing of her, natural change and energy that she's bringing to you now. And wow, that's such a nice that's such a nice thought to, and especially when somebody really isn't a family member or a
Yeah.
close friend, there you are working with others who are just in need. And I, for one, really appreciate that you've done that. So and with that in mind, that's the last question I have, but I want to thank you for your time today and sharing with us your personal journey and your highs and lows, and recommendations for us. It's so good to see you again. It's been a while, so I am happy that you're here and hoping I'll be seeing you at some of the events this year. Also, please feel free anytime, folks, to check back with our website, ReadySetReiki.com, so you can see Joanne's information is on there, her beautiful picture, her contact information. And Joanne, I'm really hoping to see some of that artwork starting to pop up on Facebook and some other social media, because it's just gorgeous. And the thought work you put behind it, and your talent obviously in executing it is all on point. So thank you so much. Tracy, is there anything else I can you would like to add with us at this time?
No, but Joanne, you did a wonderful job, and thank you so much for joining us. And I just loved how that she just kept, working with that woman, and she didn't give up, and she just every response was of love, and that's what the basis of the Reiki is. So just love. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Millie. Thank you for this wonderful interview today. I really appreciate both of you.
Yeah. And with that, I'd just like to make sure to leave everybody with yet another fine example of you can see beauty in everything, but it's your choice to do so. So please choose wisely. And Tracy?
Thank you for joining us today on this episode of Ready Set Reiki. I'm your guide, Tracy Searight.
And I am your co-guide, Millie Pampina, and I appreciate all of you and all of your time. Thank you.
And this has
Okay.
been Ready Set Reiki. Check us out at www.readysetreiki.com.